center is the fuel cell, which is the place where the water, we fill it with water. I mentioned earlier, it has to be distilled water, can't be any minerals in it. So there is on both sides, on both sides we have these short sections. This is just to have access to what will be inside of the fuel cell. Then we have that tank back in here, because this is just distilled water. And there's this is a double tank. A double tank has a smaller and a larger part. Let me see what's on this side. We have Sauerstoff. So we connect this. The students actually also have to figure out as they are have to split the water into the two gases. And now the task is, after we put water in here, we can place it in first. Yeah. Yeah, right now there's no water in there. We would hook this up. Here is the oxygen and here's the hydrogen. Yeah. There's two tanks. One tank is larger than the other. In fact, this tank is twice as large as here in terms of volume. But the same material is in there, which is just distilled water. So if we connect the smaller tank on the oxygen side with the fuel cell, yeah, we create a circuit, yeah, that where the water flows into the fuel cell from the tank. It doesn't happen by itself. What we need to do is, the first thing we need to do is we need to split the water, because initially there is just water. Then we also see here there is a motor with two cables. Right now we only have tubes going from the water tank to the fuel cell. We need more because if we want to split water, once we put water in here, and that's just distilled water, what we do is we pull the water in from one side to flood the fuel cell, the one side, with water. If we draw, or if we create a pull, a suction, and the water will flow out of the big tank right into the fuel cell until it's completely saturated with water. And once we have achieved that, we carefully close it without letting air go in. So this side of the oxygen side is completely flooded with water now. We need to do the same thing on the other side, and all these tasks can be done by the students. Yeah, 2 students is usually enough to make that happen. Oh, yeah, we need to make sure that if we start it, we have to make sure that the syringe is all the way down, because we're basically pulling the air out of the hydrogen side now, yeah, until the water starts completely flooding the fuel cell on the other side, the hydrogen side. And once that's achieved, no more air bubbles in there. Same thing as we did on the other side. We are closing this up. Now we have a totally fully saturated fuel cell with distilled water. These are the components one needs to make that happen. The water itself is nothing happens unless we do something to the water. And what the goal here is, or what the fuel cell can do, it allows us to split the water into the two gases. Yeah, right now it is just water, but we are as we are adding electrons, yeah, that run through a cable, and the cables are necessary to connect to a photocell. Yeah, this allows us to generate electrons. Yeah. That only works if there's enough sun or if it's outside. But for now, we're just placing it here. And so the beauty is it's very simple. We only have two colors here. It's easy to connect. We want this goes to the hydrogen side, this cable, yeah, and on the other side we have the red one, which goes to the oxygen. So now we have a setup where water, the tank filled with distilled water, we flooded the fuel cell on both sides, and we withdrew all air out of the fuel cell. Now it's ready. It's ready to. We can go with the help of the sun outside. We bring our vehicles outside, expose them to the solar panel, and as soon as enough of the solar panels are activated, we're starting to split the water in here, and by providing electrons in here, and instead of where we had water, now we are creating a gas here, oxygen on this side. As we are providing electrons to this unit on both sides, we are splitting the water into its two parts: Sauerstoff here in the smaller tank, Wasserstoff in the other tank. We have to do this on both sides. And once we have split, what we see is there's no longer a fluid in there. It's gases, yeah. And those gases the gases flow in here, push the water out, and that allows us to. So that sets it up so that we can. Once we have split enough water, and we have gases that are pushing most of the water out, then we can disconnect our collector, and now we are ready to make the car run by letting the two gases, or letting the energy flow flow through here. So what we started with water. Now we split the water into gas that is accumulated in here, and when we add electrons to it, the moment we stick it in, it will start running, and in the end, we end up with water again inside of the fuel cell, and that's basically continuously repeatable, that process. So it's a very clean way of generating here, moving a car, or it could be other things.